What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, I've been getting asked, when the hell is Stuckey making his return? And I just assumed we were just up, and I realized I hadn't texted him, and he texted me, and I'm in Hawaii drinking Mai Tais. I'm like, hell yeah, next Thursday, let's roll. Back and Adam from the Action Network, Big Bets on Campus, go subscribe. Action Network podcast. This guy is a gambling extraordinaire, and I can't imagine, like me, you just last week was pretty fun. You know, obviously the NFL, we're recording this before the Thursday night game, is awesome, but that college football weekend, especially with the big games, you see some of those television ratings? Stuckey, Action Network, what's up, bro?
What's going on? Yeah, it's good to be back. We were like halfway back last week with college football, full slate. This week, now we're all the way back. It's like NFL Thursday, Friday, full college football slate Saturday, full NFL slate Sunday, and from here until the Super Bowl, there's no rest. So yeah, looking forward to another season of chopping it up, and hopefully we can pick some winners.
Okay, before we dive into the NFL, I remember last year, was it one of your favorite college bets, Michigan to miss the playoffs, like 2 or 3 to 1?
Yep.
You live in Lexington, SEC country. You're a college just fucking fanatic when it comes to football and basketball. Anything you saw last week, like, did you change on Clemson? Are you now all in on LSU? Arch looking kind of like a scrub. I mean, clearly Texas is good, but does that give you pause? Ohio State, more impressed? Expect that? Any big takeaways from your big picture, maybe a big bet you had in terms of the playoffs, something you saw last week that impacts the, Final 8, Final 4 national championship hunt?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question this year, it's wide open. I mean, you can go look at the odds board. There's no clear alpha team. And the biggest questions with many of the teams at the top are quarterback. A lot of the teams have uncertainty at quarterback. You can look at Texas. Like, everyone just assumes the Manning name that he's going to be the guy, but we still haven't seen a lot. Like, last week was his first road snaps, and he was pretty inaccurate. Doesn't mean he can't get it together, but there's definitely questions there. And Texas also lost a lot of pro talent elsewhere. Ohio State, new quarterback, lost a lot. And I think Sam looked okay. I don't think they really tried to do much. They were relying on their defense, but they only had 203 yards of total offense. So there's still some questions there with saying Alabama. I was low. I am not a Ty Simpson guy. He did not impress me at all. I don't know what's going on with Alabama. And DeBoer, who's always so trustworthy, and now he's lost.
Remember, we love gambling on him. The biggest bet of my life to date is still betting on him against Sark in that semifinal game.
Yeah, it's
and remember what the week before he beat Lanning. He was almost a 10-point dog in the championship game.
Yeah, and even before then, anywhere he's gone, offense coordinator, he's always been so successful. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Simpson. I think they have to go to one of the younger kids at quarterback, but we'll see. The effort just wasn't there on defense. Like, some of the clips you saw of some of the guys, it was definitely concerning. So I'm curious to see where Alabama goes from here. The team that I was pretty low. I was lower than the market on Clemson. Everyone was just crowning Clemson. I said pump the brakes. This team last year, I know they bring everyone back, but this team last year shouldn't have even made the playoff. They needed Syracuse to beat Miami. They lost to every SEC team they played. Klubnik, yes, he played better against Texas, but for the whole season, if you looked at the toughest competition, he didn't play that well. So I still had questions about Clemson. I knew that they were a good team, a top 10-ish team, but people were just crowning them already. The team that I came away most impressed with, the team that I was high on coming to the year, I had bets on to win the SEC. The only national title future I have now is LSU. I was super impressed with them. The biggest question on the team, I loved all the transfers they brought in on defense. I'm a Blake Baker guy. That defense is trending up. It seems like they figured out how to use Perkins. That defense was outstanding last week. The biggest question, and we know Nussmeier, of all the top teams, who do you trust their quarterback situation? The LSU has to be up there at the top. So that's a good starting point. That's a good place to be right now. It doesn't mean someone else can't come and catch them and one of these younger quarterbacks can ascend, but LSU's in a really, really good spot compared to a lot of these other top teams from a quarterback perspective. They have all the talent on the outside. the biggest question was their offensive line. And, you lose 4 guys to the NFL. But if you go back to last year, they could not run the ball. They were the worst rushing team in the SEC. They had no balance. So it was just, now Nussmeier had all day. He was protected well by all these NFL offensive linemen, but they couldn't figure out the zone run blocking scheme. So you put all these new guys together, some young, 5-star freshmen, some transfers. If you can actually get some semblance of a rushing attack and then give Nussmeier some balance, because he's not going to run the ball. Like this offense could be really good. So yeah, them going on the road, they even had a touchdown taken off the board. They fumbled, gave up a field goal. Super impressed with LSU. You told me to pick a national champion right now. I know you could say it's overreacting, but I'm going with LSU, a known quantity at quarterback that I'm very confident in.
What's your take on Florida? I know it's hard to, I mean, half the top teams played, nobodies, but clearly that quarterback, I was texting with someone yesterday who's just, diehard football guy. We were texting about Arch, and I was like, the next couple weeks, no one's even going to, it doesn't even matter. But in, 3 weeks from Saturday, he takes on Lagway. Like, to see another guy that clearly is an elite talent with a team that might be pretty good, that could be a really tough spot. If all of a sudden Florida's 3-0 going in that game, wins that game, could they be a legitimate SEC contender, or are they not as good as Georgia? I thought Tennessee, again, Syracuse, but I thought they look pretty good.
Yeah, Syracuse is way down this year. I mean, they lost just a ton. I don't know if Joey Aguilar can, the App State transfer, was it UCLA for a minute, can actually, lead them to an SEC championship. It's kind of like a rebuilding year in a way for Tennessee. They're still going to be very competitive, but it's not a team that went into the portal heavy. Like, they're developing guys. They're doing it, I think, more of the right way. I think you want to have a good balance. So just from a roster perspective, I think that they understand that they have a couple freshmen waiting in the wings at quarterback, that this is probably a reset year. Florida's interesting with Lagway. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the country. Their schedule is just asinine. I mean, they should beat South Florida this week, but that game is, might be difficult. And then they go LSU, Miami, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, who's better, Georgia, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then Florida State now, who looks significantly improved. So that looked like a gimme coming into the year.
That could be one of the hardest schedules in the history of sports.
It's insane. The one thing I'll bring up with Florida, you can't take too much away from playing the Long Island Sharks.
I didn't know they had a football team.
They're bad. But the one thing I'll mention is that they have a new right tackle who was getting destroyed by Long Island. They gave up 11 tackles for loss. He was getting destroyed. I don't think they can have him out there. Like, you want to go play Miami in a couple weeks, and those Miami defensive ends with a right tackle who was horrendous. So their offensive line was like a strength. They had a bunch of guys returning, but the right tackle, new guy in there, had a horrendous game against Long Island. So something to watch with Florida as they ramp up a competition is that right tackle spot. But yeah, I mean, they're a really good team. I think I'm like a top 15 team power ratings wise. They could ascend to top 10, maybe in top 5. But the problem is, can you get through the schedule without? Maybe if they go 9-3 though with this schedule, you can still get them in. But yeah, they're one of the better teams in the country, and they have a quarterback that you can definitely rely on.
I watched a little bit of the Michigan game and didn't watch any of Oklahoma, so I went back and watched the highlights last night of the two quarterbacks. I mean, obviously Underwood, easy to see why, relative his talent compared to Arch, not even in the same ballpark. But Mateer, I thought had a little Farvian Josh Allen gunslinger to him. I mean, it's like, holy shit. But the ball comes out of his hands. I get it. And I texted a buddy with Oklahoma. He's like, yeah, he's got a chance. Now, this is a huge game. I do think if Oklahoma covers, Michigan's getting 4.5. It's always hard. I mean, this guy's a true freshman. Now, probably the highest paid true freshman, not named Cooper Flagg in the history of the NCAA. But that's going to be a tough one. That place is going to be rocking. It's at night. Oklahoma's defense, right? Ton of returning guys. Honestly, last year, remember when I went to the Texas Oklahoma game, that game was basically tied with a couple minutes left in the first. They were good on defense last year. Their offense was just a joke. And I do think if Oklahoma kind of commands and wins this game, they might have something with this quarterback. That 4.5 is kind of in that weird zone. I guess you would just have to take history, true freshman, but what if this guy really is that special? It would make me a little nervous, but that's historically been a pretty tough place to play. Now, Michigan's probably got, they got an NFL defensive coordinator in Wink. going up against Mateer. If Mateer plays well in this game and like throws 3 or 4 touchdowns, hell, just throws a couple touchdowns, has like a Nussmeier type game, and you just like he's gonna start darting up the draft boards, is he not?
Yeah, I number one, Underwood was super impressive, guys.
That running back they have from Alabama, Justice Haynes, like that guy's a beast.
The problem with Michigan, like Underwood, every throw you're like, wow, all right, this kid can make every throw. The problem with Michigan is they still have, like, their offensive line still has some questions, and their receivers just aren't great. So, and you lost Loveland at tight end. So he doesn't have as much help as you might think. Michigan's recruiting very well. Like, next year they should look better in that department, but they're like supporting cast outside of the running backs, leave a bit to be desired. So I'm very curious to see how he looks against this Oklahoma defense, which is really good.
You like Oklahoma in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, if you just if you look at last week, a lot of these very young quarterbacks, like making their first start, going on the road. I mean, look at Alabama, Notre Dame. If you faded all of them, you had a good weekend. So it's a tough spot, like really tough defense. Offensive line isn't great. Wide receivers aren't great. Going on the road, hostile environment. First true road start as a true freshman. That's tough. But Oklahoma is not without its flaws. I mean, they played Illinois State last week. There's not too much you can take away from it, but they couldn't really run the ball. Their offensive line is still a question mark. They couldn't run block last week. They have 2 true freshmen on the offensive line. So Michigan's defensive line down a step from last year, but still really talented. I assume that Wink is going to blitz a ton here. So if they can, like, if Oklahoma can't run and they're in like 3rd and long and obvious pass downs, Wink's going to blitz. He loves the blitz. And we're going to see how Mateer can process the blitz against a much talented defense, because you can look at this 2 ways. At Washington State, he struggled a bit when he played Power 4 teams. So if you look, he was, he was sacked 8 times against Boise last year, who blitzed a ton. He had a little trouble processing the blitz and getting it out to his hot read. Texas Tech and Washington last year, like he wasn't great. He was great running, but not throwing. And this is a step up from there. So we're going to see what he can do throwing the ball, because I don't think Oklahoma's going to be able to run it. So this really profiles as like, I mean, it's boring to say, but it probably even with so much excitement at quarterbacks, it probably profiles as an under game. Now that it's come way down. It was at like 54 this summer. It's at like 45.5 now. But it's hard for me to see Underwood, as talented as he is, having much success without without much at wide receiver, offensive line. And then I think Michigan's defense will come to play here. So this probably profiles as an under game. At 4.5, it's probably a stay away for me. Oklahoma got bet really early. They were -1.5, went up to 6.5. Michigan got bought. Now it's sitting at 4.5. But I want to learn more about both quarterbacks. It's Mateer against top tier competition, and then Underwood. What can he do in a hostile environment? Because if he can win this game, man, you got to be super impressed. The last note is Barham, one of Michigan's best linebackers. He's suspended for the first half due to a targeting. So that's noteworthy. He's really important in like the blitz and pass rush. So we'll see if Oklahoma can take advantage early.
My favorite story of week 1, on the field, was Clemson. Was it? Yeah, Clemson realized that LSU transfer from Houston got kicked out in the second half of his last game, and no one's paying attention, no one's watching that game. That's college football for you. Before we dive into the NFL, let's transition through Belichick. Did I see it correctly that number was originally at about 3 touchdowns, like 24, and now
21.5, 21 before the games last week, and then obviously it comes down
under 2 touchdowns now,
and then it opened back up around like 17 and then got bet down to like 12.5. I think over 2 touchdowns, it's worth a bet on Charlotte just on the spot. Charlotte might be really, really bad. I mean, I had Charlotte week 1 +7. They closed +2. They got destroyed. They should have lost by 60 to App State, an App State team that was brand new. They looked horrendous. So it's hard to really quantify how bad they are, but it's also hard.
What was the score of that game, the final score? A lot to a little, because Belichick, I saw him say that they got killed too. I didn't even
42 to 14 or something. Let me see.
It was a complete blowout. Sorry, I don't
34-11. 34-11, but like it could have been worse. Their defense looked really bad. Brand new team, brand new coach. So it's same with North Carolina. But the spot is so bad for North Carolina. Like so much went into that game, so much hype, so much buildup. And it was on a Monday night. Now you're turning around playing on Saturday. Like that never happens in college. And you're playing at Charlotte in their stadium, which is weird that North Carolina's playing there. But that's their Super Bowl. Charlotte also played last week, like during a weekday. So they have extra rest, extra time to prepare, which is important with both of these teams, which are brand new. And North Carolina looked completely lost. Like after that opening script, it was bad. So I think I'd need over 2 touchdowns or 14 plus, but just on the spot alone and the uncertainty, I think I gotta make North Carolina prove they can win by 2 touchdowns on short rest with Charlotte Super Bowl, extra rest here. They could just come out a little flatter than you might think.
I know this. Belichick loses this week. You're looking at a long season. I mean, you might be talking like 2-win team, right? I mean, they clearly would have no talent. Which is
what you just don't know. Like, look at Florida State last year. Brand new team after they were national title contenders this year, and they won 2 games. North Carolina's not at that tier, so it could happen.
We are extremely excited to announce our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Everyone knows and loves their hotels and casinos, but now you can use the top-rated Hard Rock Bet sportsbook to place all your NFL bets this season. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states to come. You can also play on Hard Rock Bet's online casino if you are in New Jersey. As we gear up for the NFL season, sign up for Hard Rock Bet and make a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today. Let's dive into the league. Okay, I'm going to start with some dogs. These games are ugly, but the morning slate, especially week 1, we don't have bye weeks. We don't even have the doubleheaders quite yet on Monday Night Football, so we got a lot of games early on. You got a lot of Carolina Jacksonvilles, and that number jumps out to me. Like I'm out on Jacksonville this year. I'm just like, I know everyone's like Liam Cohen, Travis Hunter. We've seen this song and dance with so many different coaches, with so many different players. I'm just betting against Trevor Lawrence. Now listen, Carolina, what we saw down the stretch, was it a little of no one taking them seriously? Was it a little of Bryce actually might be pretty decent? Is their coach decent? Getting over a field goal in this game. Now still defensively is going to have some issues, but I got a buddy that works on the staff. He's like, our offensive line in Carolina is fucking good. Like their offensive line is good. If Bryce is just solid. Now, weapons-wise, obviously you draft McMillan really high. We'll see. I think a lot of question marks still with Leggett. You get rid of what's-his-name, trade him to Minnesota, and then you bring back Renfro, which clearly didn't make your team because you didn't think he was good enough a week ago, so that's not ideal. But Carolina plus 3.5, I'm doing it.
I can't get there, mainly because I don't mind your line of thinking. I am a Liam Cohen guy. I mean, you go look at the Kentucky teams of the last 4 years. He was there. He had 2 stops. It was the only time Kentucky's offense has been good. But other times, really bad. You saw him with the Bucks last year. It was really good. Last year's Jacksonville team was a joke. Like just schematically, the things that they were running, no motion, no play action, no innovation. Like he should be able to provide a bump. You said you don't want to bet on Trevor Lawrence. If you do want to bet on Trevor Lawrence, I did bet anytime touchdown, like 4-1. You can find even a little better. There's word that they might be going to tush push on all short yard situations. So you can get 4-1, and they're going to do tush push. And Lawrence can run a little bit anyway. Like I don't know, like a boot, he could run it in that way. But if they're going to do tush push near the goal line, that's a good bet in my opinion. But the thing that scares me the most about Carolina, obviously their defense is terrible. It should be a little better this year because last year they were terrible and hurt. So you get guys like Derek Brown back, so a little healthier, but it's still not a great defense. You mentioned the offense. The offensive line, yes, is very underrated, very strong, but they might be without their left tackle. I think he's doubtful now. Iquanu, their left guard, who's really good, Damian Lewis, super underrated. He's questionable. I think their right guard's even questionable. So, like, the offensive line's not healthy. And then you mentioned the weapons. You lose Thielen. Coker, who they were going to rely on, just got put on IR. So now you need Leggett to hit. You need McMillan in his first start on the road to be good. And then, like, it's David Moore. So all of a sudden, this offense, which was starting to ascend last year, they need the offensive line, which doesn't look like it's going to be fully put together. And then the weapons don't look as strong as they did a few weeks ago. So that's a pass for me. But I did bet on Lawrence touchdown. Would lean over. I'm a little afraid about Carolina, but with some of these injuries, but I think both these offenses still should score, and this could be a higher scoring game. And you have the new kickoff rules. Field position could be much better this year, and there could be a lot more explosive plays on the return. So that's something worth watching as well.
Okay, Giants Washington. Are you of the, I guess, conventional wisdom that Washington's got a little regression in them last year after winning some of those crazy games?
Yeah, I mean they went 20 of 23 on fourth down. That is completely obscene. It's like it's hard to even put into words how crazy that is, because it's not like they had 23 fourth and ones with the tush push and Jalen.
They're like fourth and sixes. And
yeah, and that even with 20 of 23 for the Eagles on tush push is like, that's like pretty good. Like you probably, they're like 90, 85, 90%. They did that on just all fourth downs. A lot of them were 4th and 5, 4th and 4. They were throwing it a lot. There's just no way. And think about, they played in a bunch of close games and they did well in close games. Think about all those fourth down. Like if you take away like 6 or 7 of those, and then you're still good on fourth down, but in close games like that, those swing entire games, the win probability. And so, yeah, they are probably due for some aggression. I still have questions about the defense. I think the key is probably going to be Lattimore. What does he have left at corner? Is he washed? Does he bounce back? And because if they can have him as a lockdown corner, that does a lot more for Quinn in that defense. So I'll be curious to watch him against Neighbors, who torched them last year. But they did it with 3 guys, right? Lattimore was last year during the season, but then they, instead of using cap space, which I'm not against, because who you're really buying in free agency, they trade for Debo, who's $16 million in a contract year that he could be washed, or this is a rebound season. Yeah, Debo too.
And Tunzel, while still good, Caserio, I think pretty well established at this point, pretty good at his job, was like, I'm not going to give this guy a $100 million contract, so I'm punting right now. And Washington goes, so they get Debo, they get Lattimore, and they get Tunzel, who are veteran guys who are, especially Debo and Tunzel are going to think, like, it's time for me to get paid if I start doing well. That's this young, kind of vibrant locker room. Now it's like oldest team in the league. You bring back Ertz. Is Bobby Wagner still in the squad? So it's like you had Von Miller. I mean, so for as sexy as Jaden Daniels is, no one would argue against that. A lot of like interesting kind of dynamics in that locker room. That's not just like young and hungry,
Yeah, fascinating team to watch. But there's definitely some aggression. I mean, this is a team that won on a Hail Mary against the Bears. Like that doesn't happen in the
That was sick.
Insane. While one of the Bears, Stevenson,
what was that? Their second, just celebrating on the side.
Unbelievable, just taunting fans. One of the funniest moments of the year. So yeah, there's some natural regression there. And historically, week 1, it's a dog week. Divisional dogs, you're talking 60, 65%, depending on the time frame you're looking. So yeah, I think the Giants are the only way you look here. I do think the Giants are a bit underrated coming into the year. Like, I don't know how much Russ has left, but look at the quarterback situation last year. And this is a team that was in a ton of close games still. The offensive line, you have your left tackle back. That's big. So the offensive line should be a little better. Then, like, defensively, this team could be feisty. I mean, they have one of the best pass rushes on paper in the league. I like their safeties. You add Holland. I've always been a Nubin guy since he came out of Minnesota last year. And then your corners, your cornerback too is still a major question, but you bolstered that room. So this Giants team could be feisty. And, there's tape now on what this Daniels offense is going to look like. There's some potential regression. So, yeah, I think the only way you can look there is the Giants.
Well, I think there are 2 teams last year, the Giants and the Titans, that if you just give them, like the middle of the road quarterback, maybe slightly better, like Dak Prescott, what he'll probably be this year, someone like that, they go from drafting 1 and 3rd overall to drafting like 14th, right? They're not a playoff team, but they are on a weekly basis, if they're playing well, can beat anybody. Last year, I mean, the Levis situation and the Daniel Jones getting cut in the middle of the year. I mean, it just couldn't been much worse. In the modern day NFL, when your quarterback is that shitty, this is not college where, Texas, even if Arch is average, can win 8-9 games with ease, right? In the NFL, if you get really bad quarterback play or below average quarterback play, you're going to lose a lot of games. And I think the Giants, now I'm not a Russ guy, I do think is pretty interesting. I don't know if it was shocking, but once it comes out that Jaxson Dart is the number 2, I saw Jordan Renan, who covers the team. He's like, when you're at practice, Brian Daboll is by this guy's side. He's like a dog, just falls around Jaxson Dart, and the other 2 guys just kind of do their own shit. It's pretty clear, like, I don't know if they're going to go to the bullpen week 1, but what's your over-under for us seeing Jaxson Dart? Month?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. The Giants have a tough schedule, so like there's probably a good chance that they fall behind record wise, and then yeah, I think then you pull the trigger.
And Russ could just get hurt. I mean, he's an older player. It's not like he's that mobile anymore. He takes a lot of sacks. I mean,
Yeah,
my guess would this happens much sooner than later. This is Brian Daboll's handpicked guy. Clearly likes him a lot. He's in this weird dynamic of like kind of coaching for his job, but kind of if you're the owner, do you let them handpick a guy in the first round and then fire the coach who's a quarterback guy? Kind of in a weird spot, right?
yeah, I, yeah. I think if you go to Dart, like as long as it's not a complete disaster this year, I think you give him another year and
I
say,
agree.
let's see what you have. I mean, Dable, he wasn't put in a great spot. Like this Giants team was ruined, like cap wise, management wise, and like it was a disaster that he walked into. And then they had that one that what Daniel Jones somehow had that 1 year where he led them to the playoffs out of nowhere and won a game. But yeah, I did play the Titans week 1. If you go back to
Same.
96, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 8+ point favorites in week 1, 16 and 36 against the spread. So I mentioned it's a dog week. Like a lot of that, what's baked into this is that, okay, the Broncos are going to be as dominant defensively as they were last year. On paper, yes, they are. But that's not guaranteed. Like defenses are fickle year to year, year over year. So they might not be. And they were one of the 25 best defenses from an EPA perspective over the last 10 years. 23 of the previous 24 dropped by an average of 8 in the rankings from an EPA perspective the next year. It's hard to maintain that level, hard to maintain that level of health. So we'll see. Think about last year. Just throw this out there. Going into last year, everyone was saying the Jets and the Browns defenses are 2 of the best. No, that didn't really play out that way. Their secondaries didn't play as well. There were some injuries. And so we don't know if Denver's going to be as dominant. And last year, look, they won 10 games, but they got their 10th win because Kansas City benched everyone. They only beat one playoff team all year. They went 1-6 against playoff teams. Like, this is a big number to cover in the NFL with a small total, like 42. And yes, the Titans, they upgraded a quarterback with Cam Ward. There's uncertainty there. It could be a disaster. It's a tough spot going to Denver in altitude week 1, first start. Rookie quarterbacks have not had success. Number 1 draft picks have not had success in their first start on the road. I think they're like 6 and 23, but they're usually on bad teams. They're about 500 against the spread. Last year, disastrous quarterback play, like a guy just giving the ball to the other team. Like, so as long as Cam Ward doesn't do that, you're a step ahead. The offensive line last year, it wasn't all on Levis, was a disaster. So they bring in a left tackle. It allows Latham to go to right tackle. You bring in one of the better right guards, fortified unit, really good offensive line coach. They should be much better there. So the offense is not just a complete disaster. Defense was pretty good. It's like it can be a league average unit, especially if Snead can give them something as a number 1 corner. And then
didn't Simmons drop a bunch of weight to try to be a little bit more of a pass rusher than like a
little
stuffing defensive lineman?
Yeah, a little quicker off the ball because you have Sweat there too. It's kind of like who can take that role. So yeah, the defense has potential. And then something that a lot of people don't talk about last year with this Titans team because they were the worst against the spread team of all time. Their special teams were one of the worst in the history of the NFL. I mean, like middle school type plays that cost them games, cost them close games. They overhauled the whole unit. It's not going to be an elite special teams, but as long as you're not, again, like the quarterback giving away games, then you should be better there too. So yeah, I think that this, in what profiles is a lower scoring game, I think Cam Ward can keep them in this game. I wouldn't be shocked. There's always there's going to be a couple games this week where you're like, every year, where you're like, whoa, how did that happen? If Tennessee won at Denver, wouldn't completely floor me.
Well, it's different. I actually think Titans, I mean, if Cam Ward is just like rookie of the year level good, the upgrade you would have from Levis to him is dramatic. Mm-hmm. And you could get them 7-1 to make the playoffs. I mean, I think their floor is much more 7 or 8 wins than what they were last year. I'm with you. I like the Titans just this year to be kind of feisty, but that's a lot betting on Cam Ward, which you never truly know with rookies. But I think he's a pretty good player. And I mean, you watch some of these quarterbacks in college, like he was so good last year. I mean, he's a different type player, but I mean, you have watched a lot of college football in your life. Like, I'm not saying he's Jaden Daniels, but in terms of like carrying a team that was atrocious on defense, I mean, what do they win? 4 or 5 wins if they just have an average quarterback play at Miami last year?
Yep. Yeah, to get that last wild card spot, if Cam Ward hits, I don't hate it. I played their win total over 5.5. I think, yeah, like you said, floor is much higher. But yeah, this could be one of the shockers. There's probably going to be one, maybe two every year.
It was Patriots Bengals last year, right?
Patriots Bengals was last year. There's always going to be a shocker. And like I said, 8+ point favorites in week 1, 16-36 against the spread last 30 years.
Okay, one team I liked a lot last year. I mean, you get them like 8-1 to get the number 1 seed. That didn't hit because their offensive line and offensive coordinator and offense was just atrocious. I do think they're going to be better on offense and defensively. You talk to people in the league. It's pretty clear when you just look at the talent. I mean, they got 2 guys that are under 25 that are top, I don't know, 15, 20 players in the league in Will Anderson. Definitely I think Derek Stingley, if you put him on the Cowboys, on the Rams, on the Packers, I mean, he would be considered, like one of the way we talked about Revis or Sherman. I mean, he's a fucking elite. Like, Sauce Gardner's never going to be good as him again. Like, they met at a fork in the road, and Stingley hung a left, and Sauce hoping to resurrect his career. And I just think D'Amico is just like Mike McDonald, one of those coaches. If they were offensive coaches, we would discuss them way different, but we just discriminate a little bit against defensive guys. They're just not as sexy, especially younger ones, right? The way that we hype up Kevin O'Connell or, LaFleur and those type guys. I think Houston's going to be really, really good this year. And getting 3 points at LA, we got a lot of question marks at Stafford. With this back, I mean, is it something that if he gets hit during the game, it could happen? Is it something that's going to catch up to him as the season goes? Obviously, there's a lot of hype about the Rams before the Stafford back situation propped up. Like you were saying before we hit record, I mean, the question mark still is going to be Houston's offensive line. The one thing, part of the reason Florida State sucked last year is because Verse and Braden Fisk disappeared, and those 2 guys were awesome in the NFL. So those 2 guys are ass kickers, and they already had, what's his name from Wake Forest, they drafted the year before, who's a good player. So yeah, I mean, I just like Houston in this spot. Not saying they're going to win. I'm not taking them to win the game outright, but you're getting 3 points. I think Houston's going to be one of my favorite bets of the year, Stuckey. It's come down a little bit. It was plus 110 probably a month ago. It's like plus 105. Is just Houston to win that division. I just have a hard time seeing them. I think that would, the way the Ravens and the Bills get treated in their division, I think Houston should probably get that treatment. And I think a lot of it is some of that's the stench from the Slowick offense. I think they're going to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, one of the interesting storylines here, I mean, the Slowick play calling, the timing of the plays, the first down play call was so bad. Now, it wasn't all on him. The offensive line was also a mess, and they had wide receiver injuries, which were killer last year. But I think from an offensive coordinator perspective, huge upgrade. They bring in Nick Haley. One of the interesting storylines of this game is he comes from the Rams. He's a guy who was the passing game coordinator last year. He's now their offensive coordinator. Upgrade, clearly, in my eyes. But who has the edge there? So he knows the Rams defense was just the passing game coordinator, but this is a McVay offense that McVay knows. We've had all off season. So that's interesting chess match. I think, yeah, you got to get 3 here. You got to take it. I think this profiles a lower scoring game. The Texans defense, one of the best in the NFL. You mentioned Stingley. Yeah, Stingley and Surtain. That's like the top corner conversation. They're edge rushers. They have all the pieces on that defense. The one thing that concerns me with the Rams defense is always their back end, but their front is really good. Their first team in NFL history to have their top 4 sack guys in a season be all first or second year players, which happened last year. So Young, they hit on the draft.
Young, that's, draft he's a Wake Forest guy, right? Young.
Yeah. They hit on the draft. They needed to because they were in a tough position. They did it right. You got to give Steve credit because they went out, they sacrificed their future on paper to get a Super Bowl, got it, and they were going to be in a tough shape roster wise, depth wise, everything, unless they hit on their draft picks, specifically on defense, and they did. So that front is really good. And the biggest concern for Houston coming into the year, they upgraded their weapons, should be healthier. They upgraded the offensive coordinator, should be better from a play calling perspective, but the offensive line, did they upgrade it? I don't know. It could have got worse. It's hard to be worse than it was last year, but major questions there. So that's going to be the biggest question. So Los Angeles could really dictate the line of scrimmage when they're on defense. So it might be tough sledding for the Houston offense. But on the other side of the ball, I don't see this Rams offense coming out firing. And we have a ton of data that says quarterbacks that don't play in the preseason. Also, that we're dealing with injuries. I mean, look at Joe Burrow over the last couple of years. Was fit that same exact mold, and he's a lot younger and right at this point better than Matt Stafford. It's a struggle early, timing, and especially at Stafford's age. So I wouldn't be shocked if that offense looks extremely clunky early on. And who knows, the back could flare up, and he might not finish the game. It's going to be something that's at his age with that injury all year long. It's going to be an issue. So we'll see how the Rams handle that. Left tackle is also a concern for the Rams. I think Jackson might play, but another thing that's going to be storyline all year long. Really good left tackle. Got paid. He's got blood clots. Cost him, I think, 8 games, 2022. That could be a problem. Something worth monitoring. I think it's probably going to be they'll make the decision this weekend. I might have missed something today. But that's something worth noting. But this profiles as a lower scoring game. So, yeah, taking the points here makes sense, especially with the uncertainty with Stafford. So I would agree with you. Matchup to watch, though, is that coordinator battle, the new offense coordinator against McVay, knowing each other. And then how does this Texans offensive line hold up? And it's not like the Rams have an amazing, crazy home field advantage. So it's like home field isn't, and there's no travel like they know in this game. So, yeah, I think you got to take the points here. And I would look under as well.
I think my favorite long shot division winner bet, because I think I don't really like any of them except Seattle at like 5-1, who went 10-7 last year, who, their coach is good. They get Kubiak, who, I mean, through the first 2 games last year with the Saints, looked like he was his dad. I think clearly knows offensive football, and that is very quarterback friendly. You bring in Sam Darnold. They have a couple talented running backs there. Their defense on paper with some young, interesting guys, if you follow college football, could be excellent. Now, I'm not saying that, the Niners somehow are still favored. I think that's a little bit of what has happened in the past more than now. Not saying they can't do it, but their margin for error, pretty top-heavy team, with a lot of young, random question marks. They're trying to do what the Rams did 2 years ago, right? Reset the roster, build.
Got to hit on all your draft picks on defense.
And we just don't know. So to me, 5-1 with Seattle is by far, to me, the best long shot. This game's a little weird. I think the Niners are going to have a huge. I mean, they were such an embarrassment last year in the division. Remember what they lose like 4 games where they had leads in the fourth quarter to all 3 teams, but specifically Seattle. They had a bad loss to Seattle at home. DK Metcalf scored a touchdown. Gino's like celebrating on their field. Now, granted, he's gone, but I don't know. This to me is a stay away because the Niners are getting are favored on the road, which to me feels a little off. But whenever I bet on the Niners, I lose, and whenever I bet against them, I lose. So I don't even know. I'm saying, but this game's one of the better games of the weekend.
Bet it to go to overtime. Last year the 49ers were so unlucky from an injury perspective, which it seems to happen. Their strength and training coach has been there for like 6 years. Is there any? I'm not saying it's their fault, but this is all but 1 year where they've been like one of the most injured teams in the league. Do you have any thoughts there? Like, why does this happen every year? It seems.
I think they have they drafted Ricky Pearsall, who had some shoulder injuries, and then he gets there and he's got shoulder injuries. Right. And, they just sometimes draft some guys that have been injured. And then Nick Bosa was hurt in college and then he got hurt again in the pros. They do, like, Kyle really likes physical players. And it's like, yeah, the wear and tear on these guys' body. Trent's older, but McCaffrey had been hurt a lot, so he gets hurt there. And the other thing is Kyle's not really a big, like, let's rotate our guys. It's like, Jesus, give some of these guys a blow. Now, by all accounts, Kittle's really healthy. McCaffrey's really healthy. Trent's really healthy. Bosa's really healthy. Warner's really healthy. They love Pearsall. Remember last year, offensively, I think we view, shitty-ass year. They were actually really good 20-20. They were just terrible in the red zone.
Yeah.
Now, I think they're high on Pearsall. Juwan Jennings, a little happier now.
Is Jennings going to play?
Yeah, he got his $3 million. The calf injury, it's kind of like the Micah Parsons miraculously goes away. But I do think it kind of comes down to Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey. If you tell me they play 15 of the 17 games, I think they'll be okay. If you tell me one of those guys misses half the season, the other guy's banged up, I'd say they'd be in some trouble.
Yeah, the Seahawks.
Salah's back. That helps.
Yeah, they've needed him. It's not going to be an enormous schematic change. There's a lot of the other coaches still on staff. They just needed his voice and presence for years. So I think that's a good marriage. Their defense is going to come down to their offense is going to come down to just health, as you mentioned. And then their defense is like all these guys. Like I'm looking at the roster. They could start Nick Martin. I don't think is going to start, but they could.
They like him. He'll end up, I bet, in a couple years be a really good player. But I mean, depending on him as a rookie, the kid from Georgia,
The kid
Michael.
Upton Stout, who I like, his size is the question mark.
Weighs 120 pounds.
Yeah, we're going to see if he can hold up in the nickel. You're going to get Mustafa back eventually. I know a lot of 49ers fans don't like Brown.
Lenore's a good player, obviously.
Yeah.
But Ricardo Green from Florida State, when he played, had showed promise, but he's been banged up.
Yeah, but there's like 3 or 4 rookies that if they hit, this defense could be really good. If they're bad, you're going to need the offense to be good and stay healthy. So, yeah, there's some variance there. The Cardinals, do they not fade away like they do every year? And then the Rams with Stafford could be hurt. Might not make it through the year. Could the Seahawks take advantage? Possibly. I think now look like taking a step back, Ryan Grubb, like DeBoer, if we're going to start to question them, I mean, Penix, but by the way, I bet the Falcons this week. How much did Penix help them? And then last year, the offense really wasn't that great of a fit. Schematically, I love some of the things Kubiak does. The offensive line was a big question, but they seem to have hit on Zabel, that kid from North Dakota State, and they've hit on some of these guys who really they run the same type of run blocking scheme at North Dakota State that Kubiak wants to run. So it was like a really natural fit, and they look like they hit some of those guys. So their offense could be better than many expected. And yeah, this is going to be a top 10 defense as long as they stay healthy under McDonald. So, you
think Seattle's a playoff team? Not necessarily to win the division, but are you viewing them
most
that
years,
way or no?
No, they're close. They're fringe. A lot of it, but they could. I don't mind the bet to win the division because there's a lot of variance with some of these other teams. The Niners' defense and health, Stafford's health. And then, the Cardinals, do they take the next step? Does Kyler fade away in the second half like every year? So, yeah, they're close. It's going to come down to, can they protect Darnold enough that the pass protection when he needs to throw? That's what I worry about. Darnold doesn't have the same weapons. Like Kupp he's not what he once was. He doesn't have the same weapons that he had in Minnesota. So that would be my concern there. But there could be massive upside with this Kubiak. And so... yeah, very interesting game. I will say, I don't expect a ton of explosive plays in this game. So the 49ers right now, they don't have their full complement of weapons. And the Seahawks defense is really good and good at taking away explosive plays. And then if you look at the Seahawks offense, it's like there's no DK Metcalf to go down the field. They're going to rely on the run game. There's going to be a lot of running in this game. So I don't mind the under. But I will say, I'm probably not going to bet at pregame. What's probably going to happen here is I would expect Kubiak to have a good game script here, and then you're going to have them at home hyped up against young defense. I could see Seattle going down and score a touchdown. Shanahan, one of the best in the NFL, if not the best at opening game script. I could see that all off season. I could see the 49ers going down clinically, scoring a touchdown. It's 7-7 in the first quarter. Live total goes up. I'll probably look at taking a live under because then I can see that game dying and this becomes more of a running possession battle. So if this gets to 3, I'd take Seattle. 2.5 probably pass, but would look at a live under there. And I don't hate the Seattle take a shot for the division game with the combo of Kubiak and McDonald. The longest shot.
Kittle's own Seattle, and they drafted that kid in the second round from South Carolina, who's Kyle Hamilton, right?
Yep. Yeah, they're going to use him like Hamilton. Really, really impressive player. So, yeah, just another piece for McDonald to work with. The only long shot I took division-wise is disgusting. It's the Giants at 30-1. Probably has no prayer. Would need help. Would need Hurts or Barkley to get hurt, right? Washington to regress hard. The Cowboys trading Parsons helped, but it's they're going to have to win a ton of close games, have ton of things go their way, and then Washington and Philly with injuries fall behind. But maybe Dart is the guy they bring him in and he ends up so there's some variance there, and I think the defense will be really good. That's I would not recommend following along on that, but that is the longest division shot that I played.
That is sicko material.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the main event. We got night game Bills-Ravens. They played multiple times last year. Obviously, the Ravens worked them in the one game at home, which was a pretty big moment. And then obviously the Bills somehow pulled that game out of their ass in the second round of the playoffs last year, which was, one of the best wins in the franchise in, decades. I mean, it was a big, big win. I don't really know what to make of this game. You were telling me before, obviously the Bills, the first round rookie from Kentucky, he's been banged up and he's not playing in this game. Trey White, did he get hurt in practice?
Mm.
So now granted he's hurt a lot and he was an older player bringing him back, but it's easy to root for when you're watching Hard Knocks. You're like, yeah,
Yeah,
man, this is
he's
coming
fun.
on home. This is sweet. He just seems like a good guy.
Yeah, eating ice
Clearly
cream.
that kind of fell apart. It just feels like when they're playing, it's almost like in a boxing match. If a dude that weighed like 170 pounds was fighting a guy that was like 220 pounds, but that 170 pounder is just like, you don't want to bet against him, but he should not win this fight. That's kind of what it feels like when they're both on the field at the same time. But they got like a crazy right hook, and that's just Josh Allen. So it's like he can just keep him in the game. But it just doesn't feel like the Bills, guy for guy, remove the quarterback. It's even that close, does it?
Yeah, I mean the Ravens are probably better. I mean, maybe the Bills' offensive line is better, but the Ravens, from a whole roster perspective, are better. Now, the rookie, they're going to have a new kicker, Tucker, who fell off anyway. So that's worth watching. That I'm interested in. As a Ravens fan myself, I always, and I can sympathize with you as a 49ers fan. One of the things last year that was a disaster was their special teams, dealing with Moody. But I had like 10, 15 years where you just were like, okay, we're going to make this kick, which is a very nice feeling because most NFL fans are
Well,
like,
it's pretty
oh,
rare. It's pretty rare.
yeah. So we'll see how that works out for the Ravens, who they fell off special teams. Like the first time they didn't finish in the top 10 in 15 years. Part of that was Tucker falling off. So yeah, these two teams, like the Ravens had the better roster. I've been power rated higher, number one. They're the most like complete roster in the NFL right now. And then, but you get the Bills home field advantage, and the Bills don't lose at home. Over the last 3 seasons, they've lost twice at home. That's it. They lost to the Vikings one year in a weird game by like 1, I think, and then the Broncos in a really weird game, I think in overtime by 3. Like that's it. Those are the 2 games they lost at home.
And wasn't that Vikings game, weren't they down big and Cousins? That was when Justin Jefferson one-handed catch.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah. And there was like a big review. Yeah, that game was crazy. So that's it. That's the only games they've lost at home in the regular season. But I give the Bills respect, home field advantage. Harbaugh, by the way, is the most profitable coach in week 1 in NFL history. I think he's 12-5 against the spread. Really good with prep, really good week 1. So they'll be ready. The team that knocked them out last year, whatever, the Bills will be ready too. That's narrative street. But I think the Ravens are in better shape roster-wise. It's hard to bet against Allen at home. Usually when either of these two quarterbacks are a dog, you take them. The Ravens were a dog. Now the Ravens are favored. So I think the Ravens win this game. Do I really want to go bet it now that they're favored? Probably not. I have too much respect for Allen. This is what about I'm projected right where this is now because the Bills are beat up. And they have a couple guys they added in free agency along the defensive line who were suspended the first 4 to 6 games of the year. They're going to be depth pieces, but they'll contribute. That's noteworthy, but they're still fine there. They have a lot of depth at defensive line. The most important thing is their secondary. That's the biggest question coming into the year. Every year for the Bills have averaged 12.2 wins since COVID, and they have no Super Bowl appearance to show for it because their defense lets them down, specifically the secondary. Can they put it all together? Their safety's very big question mark again this year. Right, there's no Hyde anymore. Like there's no Poyer. Can Bishop and Rapp be the guys in the back end? And then the cornerback room is a major question mark. You drafted Hairston out of Kentucky. He's now on IR. You're going to need him to hit Trey White way past his prime. He's hurt. Didn't practice again today. Christian Bedford, one of the better corners in the NFL, really good fit for that scheme. He didn't practice yesterday. I think he returns today that I just read 5 minutes ago, but it's a groin. I don't know if he's going to go. If he can't go, you're talking about a questionable safety room. I think they would start. I don't know for sure, but I don't even know who's on their roster. Like I know every roster inside and out. Depth. I think it's Dorian Strong, a rookie from Vatech. I don't even know who the other corner is. That's because you have you have Taron Johnson, the nickel, who's really good, who had a down year last year, but he's really good. I don't even know who the other corner would be if both of them are out. Because now you're down your top 3 corners on the outside. It's probably rookies. That's bad news against the Ravens. So yeah, the injury situation is definitely worth monitoring. That's why the line is flipped. I think the Ravens win this game, but I do have a ton of respect for Allen. If Allen guides his team down, opening drive, touchdown, I'll be betting the Ravens live. I'll tell you that. And you want to bet Narrative Street, Mark Andrews touchdown. Anytime touchdown, like 2-1. He fumbled the game away last year against the Bills. The Bills can't cover tight ends. Questions at safety. Now there's cornerback questions. They're going to have to help on the outside way more. That's going to open the middle of the field up. Likely he's hurt. I just know, knowing the Ravens, Harbaugh, I can already see he wants to get Andrews in the end zone, probably early, to shake those demons off from last year, start fresh. Andrews was killing himself all offseason because of this. They're going to try to get him in the end zone. Doesn't mean it's a lock, but 2-1, I think it's worth a flyer. I can already see like Harbaugh laughing and like hugging him after he gets in the end zone. All the team surrounds him. Like they're going to try to have that moment. So, and it's a good matchup for him. So I think that's worth a bet. But really fascinating game. Generally speaking, you get one of these, any of these quarterbacks as an underdog, you take them. So I couldn't fault anyone for taking either side. Like you're going to say like, hey, even if you give me 1.5 with Allen at home, I'm taking it. I just think these Bills injuries on defense are probably too much, especially given that the roster was already a step behind the Ravens overall.
And weren't you saying they do a little of the quarterback sneak stuff with Mark?
Yeah, Andrews also could get in anytime touchdown. He could get in like
goal line stuff.
Lamar doesn't do the tush push quarterback sneaks. So every once in a while, they'll motion Andrews. Like you'll see it on a fourth down. Lamar will be in shotgun. It's like 4th and inches. And I'm like, oh my God, because there's nothing that makes me angrier than shotgun. Lamar usually gets it, but snapping the ball 5 yards back on 4th and inches. But then you'll see 4th and inches, Lamar in shotgun. Andrews will come, motion, get under center, quick snap. So they could do that at the goal line for sure. And this game, after what happened last year, you want to get Andrews in the end zone? Probably a higher likelihood of that happening at the goal line as well.
I think John Harbaugh saw when the Mahomes did that sneak and that kneecap came out. He's like, we ain't ever risking that as long as I'm here.
I don't think Mahomes is,
Andy hasn't done it since.
Yeah, I don't think he's sneaked it.
No,
one time since.
I do think the quarterback sneak. Some guys are good at it. You know, Brady was really good, and some guy you could tell Arch. In fairness, it's not a play you really practice. It's kind of an instinctive. You either got it. Like Jalen Hurts probably been natural at that since he was like 7 years old. Quarterback sneaking, you just feel comfortable. Some guys are just like we were talking before. Drew Brees, like it takes some balls. Drew's not the biggest guy. I mean, he's leaping over 320 pounders, putting that ball over. Now linebackers, you know, like Troy Paul, he was unfazed, fearless.
Yeah.
So I mean,
the two best, by the way. Yeah, it's weird how some guys are good at it. The two best in NFL history, with a sample size, from a success rate standpoint. Perks is probably up there. I haven't looked at this in a year or two historically, but going back ways, the two best were Brady, who was like automatic and not the biggest guy, just knew how to do it, and Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco with the Ravens for like 10 years was automatic on quarterback sneaks. So you can't even look at a guy and know, but once you see them do it, you're like, okay, he's good at it or he's not. Like, but you can't, if you put like 10 quarterbacks in a room and like with their body types, height,
no clue,
you wouldn't be able to tell. But some guys have the knack and know how to do it, and some guys just don't. But Brady and Flacco were always the elite, like 90%. It was 92, 93% of the time they were going to get it. But yeah, should be a fun game on a fun weekend.
I guess I won't talk to you till after Monday Night Football. You got Caleb making his debut with Ben Johnson against Flores. I guess Ben Johnson obviously has experience coaching against Flores, but this combination, you know, the Vikings, you have the Ravens power rated as the best roster in the league. I would imagine you have the Vikings pretty high, don't you? Guy for guy,
yeah.
non-quarterback.
The question is the quarterback with them.
But if we just remove every quarterback from every team, just do roster for roster, they're a top 2 or 3 roster in the league? Healthy?
Yeah, removing quarterbacks. They got the receivers. Now, receivers not in as good of shape right now.
Assuming they're healthy and not suspended and stuff.
Yeah, the offensive line, elite. They added Mason to the running back room, which I think is important. So running back room is really good. The defense added to the defensive line. Secondary has questions. They got to make up for that schematically. That's where they're like a step behind the Ravens, who have just like 5 first-round draft picks in their secondary. But they're up there, and then everything's going to come down to the quarterback, who's basically a rookie, compared to like a multiple MVP award winner. But yeah, their roster's up there. Flores and their coaching, they have arguably the best coaching combo. Like that, you can put the 49ers up there. Chiefs. But they're up. You have O'Connell calling the offense, and we've seen what O'Connell could do with all kinds of quarterbacks. Like, so that's got to be, gives you at least a feel safe if you're a Vikings fan with McCarthy. And then you have Flores, the mad scientist defensively. I will say Johnson has gotten the better of him over the past couple of years. This is a perfect litmus test for Caleb Williams. So the Bears roster is pretty good as well. It's just going to come down to, does Williams take the next step? Or is he... So in order to beat this Flores defense, what did Goff do? He's sending pressure, blitzing. Goff's getting rid of the ball quick, getting it to his playmakers in space. It's going to be well schemed. So that's what's going to happen here. We're going to bring pressure. They're going to be blitzing. Does Williams, is he able to process and understand the offense, understand his reads, not pat the ball, not fail, and can he command the offense? It's a perfect test. It's like, okay, you have John. We're going to learn so much about, did Williams progress? Did he grasp this offense? Is this Bears team going to be a real player in that division? Because you're going up against the Flores. You have Johnson, who's had success against Flores, knows how to call an offense there, knows how to put a quarterback in position to have success. Can Williams do it? Can he make, not try to make the superhuman play? Every once in a while, yeah, you can do that, but can he actually make the quick read, make the right throw, understand what the defense is doing, what Johnson wants him to do? So I can't wait to watch to see how far along he's come under Johnson, and that chess match between Johnson and Flores, which is always fun.
It's the best game of the week from a podcast sports radio standpoint.
Oh, yeah. Hot takes galore.
Oh, because even Bills and Ravens, it's like, once Bills get there, they're both going to be good, Even Niners, Seattle, it's like, let it play out. They'll be fine. Good coaching. There are a lot of unknowns. And there's
I can already see your clip on Twitter going viral.
Tyson Badgett?
Caleb Williams is done when they lose 38-0.
Well, you agree it's a little weird how the head coach constantly talked up the backup, and then they gave him a random extension. Now, you could argue from a value standpoint, it's not crazy. Little weird to do when you still have an unknown with the number 1 overall pick at quarterback. And then you're like, okay, that second preseason game happens, but you go, well, if you look at the Bills and Chiefs in the second preseason game, they clearly are hard charging in practice and their guys are done, and then they don't even play their starters. But by the third preseason game, the Chiefs are a good example. They treat that kind of seriously, and they tried, and Ben Johnson was like, this is an embarrassment. What the fuck was that? So you're like, it's just a little, just unknown. I'm not writing Caleb off, but let's face it, his style of play, unless he can change it, which is much more Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, which is the antithesis of what Ben Johnson clearly is looking for. Couple steps, get rid of the ball, do what I tell you to do. It's why you love Jared Goff.
It's also the same way in New York with the Jets. You got someone who came from the Lions staff. Justin Fields does not fit that line.
That's going to be a disaster.
Thanks from offense. So Bears are a little better shape roster-wise.
Yeah.
And Williams is a little better than Fields, but same kind of thing. Like, can they mold Williams? Like, you want to keep some of those traits, but
for sure,
can they rein them in enough to operate this offense? It's going to be fascinating to watch. That whole division is going to be a fascinating watch.
Well, I'll get you out here. I was flying to Hawaii, and I downloaded like the first half of that game, and you watch Mahomes. I think what makes Mahomes so awesome, and you watch him against the Bears, and it was a preseason game, but the Chiefs clearly like focused, like it was like, we want to get some real reps here. He can make the spectacular play, but he can also, just like on 3rd and 6, knows how to get rid of the ball, can diagnose. It's just like he's just playing quarterback. Now, I'm not comparing Caleb Williams to Mahomes, but ultimately to be the quote-unquote playmaking guy, what Mahomes does that's so great is he can also do the easy shit. That's why Peyton, Tom, with his eyes closed, and you got to be able to, you can't function in the NFL when you can't do the easy shit. It's impossible to beat good teams. It's impossible to beat random teams. If it's like, well, you just 3rd and 8, he wasn't even close. He fucking went to the wrong spot. You're fucked.
Yeah, and it's so much hard. Teams are making you drive the field consistently now, taking away explosive plays more, too high safety looks changing. Like, it's hard. Look at the Chiefs offense. The Chiefs offense is not explosive. In order to drive them, you're going to have to hit some of those easy throws. You're going to have to execute consistently. Otherwise, you're going to kill way too many drives.
Okay, Stuckey, you know how coaches talk? Like, I don't sleep much Monday through Friday. I feel the same way like Thursday through Monday. I'm just watching football, getting up early. This is when I turn into a coach just to sit on my couch and consume.
Yeah, it's I'll find a nap every once in a while. Not even during the weekend. Like
No.
Tuesdays, I can nap. Mondays sometimes. I'll sleep in April. April to August, I get some good sleep. But yeah, I'll be running on fumes in a month. But it's good to be back.
Okay, enjoy the weekend. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, brother.